Thanks to deep convolutional neural networks, the performance of computer vision algorithms for object recognition has improved remarkably in recent years. These artificial intelligence networks perform a series of operations in which collections of filters are convolved with the image and then downsampled to a lower two-dimensional resolution via maximum or mean pooling operations. After several of these convolution and pooling stages, a final layer of neurons transforms the representation into a probability distribution over the possible objects in the image. Although this approach requires notably more computation than previous approaches, it can be supported with relative ease for smaller images containing a single salient object. However, when applied to large images, such as those in 4K video, this approach becomes computationally expensive. Convolutional filters have to be applied to the entire image in a raster-like manner. Compared to a conventional image of 480 by 360 pixels, a 4K image is roughly 50 times larger, requiring 50 times the number of computations to produce a 2D map of object probabilities. Let's take a look at an alternative approach inspired by nature. Many animals, including humans, have foveal vision. Visual resolution is highest at the center of the field of view, the so-called fixation location, but decreases away from that location. Color acuity also decreases away from the fixation location, although we'll ignore that aspect in the remainder of this video. Despite the foveal nature of human vision, we rarely notice our poor peripheral visual resolution because we move our eyes between fixation locations with rapid ballistic movements called saccades. Binary Cognition is building deep learning AI models that function similarly. In this conceptual demonstration, the foveal vision is modeled using 4 levels or scales of resolution, with lower resolution scales covering a larger visual area than higher resolution scales. In this image, the initial fixation location is centered on the green cross. The area of highest resolution is indicated by the small green box around the fixation cross. The area of the lowest resolution is indicated by the much larger green box and is equivalent to the field of view in a single fixation. The high-resolution foveal center in the small green box is a 32 by 32 sized patch of pixels taken at the native resolution of the image. Each increasing scale lowers the resolution by a factor of 4, but increases the height and width of its area of coverage by a factor of 4 as well, thus maintaining a 32 by 32 sized representation matrix, albeit over a larger area. The highest scale spans an area of 2048 by 2048 pixels at the native image resolution, downsampled to 32 by 32 pixels by mean pooling. For the purposes of this demo, the low resolution regions have been upsampled back to the native image resolution using bicubic interpolation. The actual computer vision model only takes in 4 matrices of size 32 by 32, however, one for each scale in the visual model. Here, the initial randomly chosen fixation location is along the mountain ridge. An additional component of the model, trained by a reinforcement learning protocol, makes decisions on where the next fixation location will be. The model makes its decision, initiates a saccade, and takes in a new set of size 32 by 32 matrices centered about the new fixation point. In this demo, previous fixation locations and their high-resolution area bounding boxes are changed from green to red when the model's eye saccades to a new fixation location. Furthermore, we indicate areas that have been previously in the model's field of view but are not in the current field of view by gray cross-hatching. Although these areas are not in the current field of view, information contained therein continues to be represented in the model thanks to recurrently connected layers of neurons. During training by reinforcement learning, the model is rewarded for selecting fixation points that expand the total area of the image that has been observed by the model. It is also rewarded for selecting points that are on or near salient objects that can be identified by the model. This second fixation location is selected due to the contrast between the gray mountains and the green grass. The contrast is an indicator that an identifiable object may be near that location. After viewing the image at the second fixation location, the model determines that a candidate object is to the left, but resolution in that peripheral area is too low for accurate identification. After a saccade to the fixation location centered on the unknown object, the model's eye obtains a high-resolution view of the house and can identify it as such. The model continues this saccade and fixate process, expanding the area of the image that has been viewed, fixating on salient objects and identifying them. The process ends once a large fraction of the image has been viewed and the model deems that all salient objects have been identified. Let's make a rough comparison between the processing needs of a rastering model and the saccade and fixate model we just observed. The large 4K image can be segmented into about 8,160 high-resolution tiles of size 32 by 32 pixels. The rastering model would have to process all of these tiles at full resolution. The processing requirements of the saccade and fixate model depend on the number of fixations made by the model before it declares that it's done with the image. In our demo, the model made 8 fixations. Since each fixation requires the processing of 4 matrices of size 32 by 32, This is roughly equivalent to the processing of 32 tiles. Thus, the rastering model required over 250 times the amount of processing as the saccade and fixate model. Although the saccade and fixate model requires some additional processing for the recurrently connected layers and for the portion of the model trained by reinforcement learning, this additional processing is dwarfed by the needs of the rastering model. Thanks to this huge reduction in processing requirements, the saccade and fixate model can reduce AI energy and hardware requirements and allow processing to be shifted from the cloud to the edge, accommodating increased application to novel or traditional computer vision tasks such as security, inventorying, or targeted advertising.